Hello guys, this is Loop Forum, my name is Hubert and today's guest is Antek Sojka.
Hello everybody.
Who goes by the name of Nothing to Sniff. Check out Nothing to Sniff on Spotify and any other streaming platforms because his work is actually pretty cool. I really love it, man.
Thanks.
And yeah, the past 5 days we've prepared a live act with live looping, especially for you, and tried to reach to the point where we connected two machines, MK3, because I've got one of these too. But yeah, for the first 3 days, we were really trying to explore if machine is a stuff made for live looping, and yeah, what was our conclusion?
At the beginning we tried to connect two machines together and to work on two machines. We tried to synchronize them through link or later we tried to synchronize it through MIDI. Link worked and another time it didn't work. MIDI worked, but even though we had very large buffer size, we experienced a lot of clicks, crackles, and there was so many problems in syncing those two devices. This was the first problem we got, because we couldn't reach the planned audio quality, you know. We had to use something different. We had to get back to the idea to use one machine and this Boss Loopstation.
Yeah, but syncing wasn't the only problem that we experienced, that we faced during the process of trying to make live looping on two machines. Another thing that was really problematic for us was changing scenes simultaneously and recording at the same time new scenes, right?
The main goal was to create a live looping session and to record it, of course. And the first big problem we encountered was that we couldn't actually record our actions in machine. We were working on two machines and we tried to get the performance record, and there is no such possibility in machine. You cannot record your live actions. You can of course record automation and many things you can program in machine and pre-program, but when it's up to live looping, it's impossible to record it. So we needed to put machine software into some host application. We chose Ableton Live. It also could be Logic or any other digital audio workstation. We chose Ableton. And when you use machine as a VSTI instrument, as a virtual instrument, in some host application, its play hit and its play position is 100% dependable on host position, on host playhead position. And when we were trying to record some parts in machine and we missed, for example, 1 bar or 2 bars in host application, then after recording, for example, equal number of bars, like 8 or 4, machine almost never started playback without stopping the audio. It couldn't start playback from the beginning. It was sometimes starting from 2nd bar or from 5th bar from some random position. And it was a very big problem in live looping because we wanted to create like 8 bar sequence. And this 8 bar sequence was also tonal, was also harmonics. And we couldn't sync that. We couldn't play it together so it worked. And we figured it out different way.
So machine, as a conclusion, machine is a cool device for additional stuff for live looping, and after the 3 days of suffering, you know, with syncing and live looping on those two devices, we decided to make it simple or simpler. And I went back to the Loopstation and we decided to connect those two devices, and it worked out pretty cool, actually.
There are many different workflows on Maschine, using Maschine, with host application and with other applications. Of course, to be honest, to be fully true, Maschine has some things that let you create things on the fly and create things quickly, and it sounds very good. But actually, yeah, there is this problem that from time to time you need to stop audio, and that makes it impossible to use it on totally on a live stage to build something from the scratch and for a long time. We created a track that consists of two parts. We can call it part A and part B. We combined the sounds from Maschine and sounds recorded by Hubert from RC-505 Loopstation. We synced the tempo through MIDI cable. It was connected from my interface to Hubert's Loopstation. That's how we got synced. And what we needed to do was to launch in the host application in Ableton. We almost always had to start from equal bar and with pre-count. And there was no possibility to start anytime. We had to start looping in a very specific moment. And when you miss the moment, you will miss the loop, and the whole thing was falling apart. Like when we started to record and someone missed like one hi-hat or one point.
When you go back to the beginning.
Yeah, we had to go back from the beginning because the time sync, everything was music like harmony was destroyed. So maybe let's talk about what we did.
So let's begin with the wiring.
Okay, so as we already said, we were trying to combine Loopstation with Ableton, so we needed to sync that, and we needed to sync time. So to sync time, we used ordinary MIDI cable, and my computer was the heart of the whole system, and
the Loopstation was the slave.
Yeah, it was Loopstation was slave, and master was my computer. Ableton actually was sending the clock. Hubert has Loopstation, and he also has computer because we needed to use Guitar Rig. So to have clean guitar and vocals parts, we connected guitar and vocals to Hubert's interface and Hubert's computer, and out of his computer the signal audio was coming to Loopstation, and from Loopstation it was coming out to my interface, to my computer, and it was recorded in live in Ableton, along with all my tracks. In Maschine was routed this way, that every group was routed to its separate output, and it was recorded on separate track in Ableton. So we had 8 tracks of 8 Maschine tracks in Ableton, and 1 stereo track from Hubert's Loopstation. And we also recorded clean signals on Hubert's computer. Yeah, it's complicated, I know, but
it's a roundabout.
We needed that. We needed that to have some control, because Loopstation has only stereo output, and it cannot output 5 channels that you can record separately. You can output them only together, only mixed together. So so that we have any control later, we needed to record clear tracks on Hubert's computer.
And recreate then, after the recording, recreate the whole performance in the DAW.
We also recorded stereo output from Loopstation, so that it could be our guide track, you know, to know what we did actually.
I think what's most interesting in the performance we did here is how you used Maschine for the live looping, because as for me it was a really tricky part here, and I think guys watching this video might be interested in how did you do it?
Yeah, I think that's the main part. That's the main meal today. Okay, so I created 8 groups in Maschine. That's a little bit tricky. We needed to do it this way. So I had first group with beat 1. That was my bass drum, hi-hat, snap. That was main beat. There's some percussion here, and there are some FX things like sweeps, drills, or something else. Some reversed crash. And also, I have 2 sounds, like two sounds filled not with sounds actually, but effects. There's delay and reverb, and you can, as you can probably know or not, when you set it up like this, you can send here each and every sound from each group, from any group. So it's very useful. It's an auxiliary track, very useful. Another group was beat number 2. It was to add some more spices into our beat, some other effects, another hi-hat, another clap to strengthen the snaps. Then I have a group with some mallets just to have some tonal instrument number 1. Another group was percussions. I created this group so I can have something to fill the gaps, you know, in the moments when I have some more space for my moves. Then I can just hit the group and hit the button, and I have some kind of another FX tracks. We thought that would be a good idea for this music, you know. Another group was bass, and as we said, we couldn't actually record it that it was always looped in the good way, in the good sync with other things. So this is the first tricky part and strange part, that we really had to create the patterns in this track, in bass track, before we started looping.
Yeah, it's a tricky part because we cheated a bit. We really didn't want to do it, but yeah, we decided we have no other option because the bass line part needs to be in an exact moment.
It's a part of harmony.
It's a part of harmony, so yeah.
So we need
no other option.
Yeah, we needed it to be created before, like pre-programmed.
So it's actually the only thing that was pre-programmed.
Yeah. After that, there was pad. I had separate keyboard to play this pad. Very nice pad that we used to as another harmonic instrument, and you can see it in our recording, our performance. Another group is sidechain. I call it sidechain because it's just one pattern with kick drum, and it's used only for sidechaining mostly compressors in this project, because of course I can sidechain every compressor in every place in Maschine. That's very useful, and that's very good about Maschine, of course. And this group was routed to output 16 because we didn't want to hear it, and we didn't want it to be heard in the whole track. And sidechain group was routed to external out 16 because we didn't want it to be heard, and we needed to be useful. So this was the sidechain group, and the last group was noise. Very useful group, and a little bit tricky part. Maybe for some of us it will be interesting. I created the noise group. There is Massive there that imitates just noise. As you can see in this group, after Massive, there is Filter. Recently I use Soundtoys Filter Freak a lot because it's, in my opinion, one of the best software filters. There is also reverb and a compression that is also sidechained. Here comes very important thing that as you can see on group, I have a compressor with sidechain here, and this is sidechained by group G1 sidechain, and I wanted to have, and this is obvious, I wanted to have some macros. Because this is a basic thing you need to have to live loop in this machine.
Could you explain what macros are?
Yes. Macros, you can create macros on each level, on sound level, group level, and master level. Macros can be used to create custom knobs that alter specific parameters in machine. Almost every parameter in every sound in every group in machine can be outputted onto macros stage, and you can have many different parameters of many different groups and instruments in one place. That's it. First two parameters here are the parameters connected with this H noise group, and it's frequency and resonance of the filter freak. And as you can see, when I'm moving, the pattern is playing. When I'm moving the frequency knob, it opens the frequency, and I also have resonance here. And I can tweak the sound in very interesting ways. I have very interesting effects here, and we needed it to make the live looping a little more interesting. Of course, I have some other parameters. There is a level of delay and reverb that is sent on group A. So when I change this, I sent this group onto delay, and here I sent this group onto reverb. I can show you that. I will create first thing here. So it's and I'll turn on off the metronome, and now when I move this knob, it opens reverb, and this one opens delay. When I add bass drum to this, it plays smoothly. And now I have some very interesting thing here. So I have filter set on group A, and it's a cutoff parameter of this filter. And when I open it up, I cut the bass drum, I cut the low frequencies. It's very thing to have some additional transition possibilities. Another thing is cutoff of group B, so it's the other one beat group. And frequency of the bass. This is also very interesting. When I play the bass track, it plays. And now I have a frequency of the plugin that is set there. It's a virtual instrument. And I can also here tweak it a little. Okay. And using these arrows, I can add another pages of macros and another 8 parameters I can map here. And another, probably infinite number of it. I don't know actually, but I never used all of them. And on the second page of my master macro pages, I have a mix level and aux output level of that sends this group B on delay. So when I record myself a hi-hat here. It's another layer of hi-hat here, and when I open delay, it doubles, and so it speeds up a little. It's another cool thing that I can add in our live looping session, you know. Okay, I'm turning that back. Okay, so I'll stop the audio. You see, I have to use computer keyboard to turn it off, to stop playing. So that's another a little bit inconvenient thing about this using Maschine as host, that these buttons they don't work in this mode, and that's sometimes it's disturbing. Okay, now let's get into step by step how we actually planned and how we planned the live session and how we did it. So I had this macros pre-programmed, prepared first, and as we said, we created a whole scenario how it will be built from scratch. Hubert had his parts, guitar, vocal loops, and main vocal track, and he sings. And I do beat, some effects, bass, my pad, and noise, and that were my parts. And in the beginning, always and always, when we wanted to start from beginning, I had to delete all scenes I created, and I had to set patterns this way that noise was running, sidechain was running. This pad, whenever I recorded it, I had to delete this one. I have to disable bass patterns. I have 2 of them because we have 2 parts of the song, and as we said, we had them prepared first, and every other pattern I had to delete. And then we were launching record in Ableton, and we had to set up count in Ableton so that we start my looping, because I was starting. Hubert was starting with the guitar, and I was starting with snaps, beat snaps. We had to start exactly in measure 1 of Ableton, because, as we said earlier, when we started, for example, in measure 2, and we created equal like 2 bars loop, then everything was moved 1 bar ahead, and we couldn't sync mostly this musical parts, and that was the most difficult thing. 2 things, maybe 2 settings that are pretty much very, very good for live looping in Maschine. The first very important setting I got, and you can always change it in settings, is that I could set the record quantization. It's here. So when quantize is set to record, then whenever I record some pattern, it is quantized on the fly actually. And another very interesting thing and good thing about live looping and Maschine is that when I create, when I hit pattern button and I hit record before starting anything, it creates pattern and it sets length of the pattern for auto. It's something new. It's the latest update, I guess.
So make sure if you're using Maschine to get the latest firmware of Maschine. Yeah,
this is very important. There are many good changes in recent updates. I must say that you can change colors from hardware, and you can do a couple more things that you couldn't actually before that. And this auto length is very good because when I hit play button, I was of course turning on metronome in the beginning. I was changing the view for events. I heard the metronome, and I was recording before until I hit any button. It won't change the length. It's just 1 bar. But when I start recording, it expands the loop to the moment when I hit record button. So it works like this. I want to record 2 bar sequence, so I do it like this. And hit the record button. And as you can see, it's quantized. It's 2 bars length right now, and it's what I wanted, actually, the length. But very interesting thing was, if you will move the movie back for a moment, if you wish, then you will see that after recording 2 bars of the beat, it and when I hit record button to stop recording and to fix the length for 2 bars, it didn't actually start playing from position 1, but it started from position 2 as it is connected to the host application. And this is disturbing thing, and this is the main problem we actually get. And in longer phrases, and it's actually impossible to hit it.
Yeah, that's the main reason why we decided to pre-record the bass phrase. Couldn't figure out why.
Yeah, I'm sure you know what we're talking about. But when you cannot create music when your bass plays a note that will never work with another note on another instrument. That's obvious. Okay, but I will get back to this looping again. So when I want to add some another parts to this beat, I can, before I hit the record button, I can hit some FXs, 1 or 2, then start something. And it's already quantized. I didn't have to hit it. Then I put another thing to it. Then after that I can hit group B, and now I can record. I have to hit record once and hit it once again, so it creates pattern in this group I selected, and then I could record additional hi-hat, for example. Okay, and this is the point when we reach another time, the moment, when if you are out of bar sync with host application, you're recording these live loops totally randomly. They start randomly, they end randomly. And we always had to be with the position of Ableton to have this all recorded the right way, that it always started from position 1 and ended in the full position we wanted it to end. Actually, now I will show you how exactly we did it. So at the beginning, before I hit play button and host application, record button actually, I was hitting record in Maschine. It creates automatically the pattern. Metronome was on. It's important because I have a pre-count from Ableton and then metronome from Maschine, because I wanted to disconnect to disable metronome during recording afterwards. So it was prepared, bass was off. Now we started recording. We have 2 bars of counting, and then I have to start. Look. Okay. Then I add hi-hat. Then I played some bass, and the bass started in the right position. Then I added some FXs, then another FXs from group B, and bass drum. Okay, I got it here. Now Hubert was singing something and filling the gaps while I was tweaking a little bit the noise, so it appeared. Then I turned off metronome, and I was preparing myself for scene B. I had to duplicate the scene so I can get back to scene 1, because I will be changing bass right now. I'm hitting the bass and I'm changing the pattern here. And only in this case it started in the right position, because I was holding into this 8-bar thing. Okay, I'm here. And now I'm getting back to macros, because I will going to disable the beat. Yeah, with the cut-off filter, and open the noise. Twig a little bit, where it was playing a little. I was tweaking the bass. As you can see, all these macros, they give me access to all these very interesting features here. Now I'm talking, but in this mix you can see in our live session, you can see that I was also having this B beat. Now I'm getting back with the bass drum. Hubert was singing here. Then I was adding this pad here. I will just add one part. Okay, and it's also always in time, and it's only because we're in time with Ableton Live. Now we are switching to scene A1. I'm hitting the scene and it will be played after it's ended. Now. This thing, that scene changes after it's ended, is very useful in live looping. We found it very useful. But you have to set it up in Maschine, I guess, in Maschine software. Okay, now we were doing some kind of intro and changing to scene A. And that's the way we could switch easily between scenes, and it was all coordinated with Hubert. I'll stop the beat. So this is basically how it worked.
So let's get to the Loopstation part. And the main idea was to create two single tracks. As you can see, they're set into single mode, number 1 and number 2. Number 3, 4, and 5 are set into multi-mode. And that's because I wanted to have two separate tracks that won't play simultaneously, and they're like two different scenes, right? So for the chorus and for the verse, like so to say. So, but more important when it comes to the number 3, 4, and 5 is that they are set into one-shot mode. As you can see, it's on. So I can play those like on an MPC pad, like. It's pretty cool because once you record the sample, you use them as an instrument, so to say. I decided to record the guitars and the vocals on the same tracks because I already knew I would have the possibility to recreate the arrangement in the computer, in the DAW, in the post-production. So it wasn't really a problem for me that the guitars and the vocals were on the same track. Another thing are effects, input effects and track effects. I decided to use the filter mode, which is one of my favorites. Filter mode for the intro, and then the panning delay I used for those vocal samples. And reverb, because I just like to have a lot of reverb, especially and in house music or pieces of music like this we made here. It's always sounds better. Okay, and so these are the input effects, and on the track effects, I wanted to use beat repeat, but I actually didn't do it. And filter for global effects, like filter, and the panning delay for the end of the composition. Yeah, and it's basically it. If I run the first track, you can hear the guitars and the vocals. What I really like about the single mode is that I can push the button of of the other track anytime. It just comes to loop and then switches into the other part. On the second track I've recorded vocals, and as you can hear in the end of the composition, I filter them and add vocals live, so it gives us the cool vibe, and that harmonies are recorded and filtered a bit. They are there, but not, you know, not as bright as they would be without using the filter. But the most important part is the vocal that I sing live, and the other parts are hidden behind the main vocal. Yeah, it's basically, I think it's basically it.
Funny thing about all this project is that I don't know Loopstation at all, and I was watching Hubert looping because I don't know if Hubert said that, but of course, as you can see in our recording, our live looping session, all the parts were recorded in real time. And I know Maschine, and Hubert doesn't know Maschine almost at all.
Yeah.
So,
but we were trying to use Maschine as a loop station, and there is actually a function that's pretty similar to the looper, but it's not as practical as the loop station. The loop station, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm very familiar with this gear, and it's just much faster for me to push these buttons and not those.
I find Maschine very useful in my workflow. I figured out couple workflows, as I can say, I think, about Maschine, and I must say now it is a very important thing in my studio. I use it almost all the time to create some parts, and of course we didn't talk about perform FX function that was also used, and it's very good for live looping, and it's actually strange when using in Maschine, because it has some strange difficulties in this clips mode, scene mode, loop mode, pattern mode. All these things were very difficult for Hubert to understand. The whole structure of Maschine is so different, and the whole logic implemented in this device is so unique, I should say, that it may be sometimes difficult for people to get into it, but as I said, it's also very useful in studio.
Okay guys, so that was Loop Forum featuring Nothing to Sniff, aka Antek Sojka, and we hope our explaining was helpful and you enjoyed the performance.
Maybe there are some solutions that you know for our problems, so feel free to write them in comments or whatever, contact us.
Join the group on Facebook, Loop Forum, and remember, Loop Forum, we suffer so you don't have to, and it was a really nice experience for me. Thank you, Antek, for this great piece of art you're doing here, and I've learned a lot from you, so thanks very much, and yeah, see you next time.